Hello friends, welcome back to my channel, Diamonds and Washi. This is Katie. If you're new here, hi, welcome. And if you're back, welcome back. Today I wanted to hop on and share with you guys a video that talks just about some tips and tricks for if you were going to work on a very large diamond painting canvas. The canvas that I have in front of me here is one of my WIPs, works in progress, that I've been working on and off for a couple of months now. It is an extremely large canvas, at least for me, at a whopping 75 centimeters tall by 100 centimeters wide. This is from the wonderful artist Josephine Wall. The name of this piece is Magical Merry-Go-Round, and it is from the company Diamond Painting Deutschland, and it is legally licensed artwork, of course. So when I took on this project, I knew that it wasn't going to be anything like any other projects I had worked on before. This particular kit has 220 colors. It's one of the really distinct things about this company and the kits that they make. And I'm just over halfway through the kit, and I feel like learned a lot about how to better work on a canvas this size with this many colors. So I wanted to share some of my experience and insight with you, hopefully make it feel a little bit less intimidating if you were going to tackle a project this size, and hopefully save you some work as well. Now, while most of what I'm talking about is going to be, some of what I'm talking about is just going to be specifically applicable to a canvas like this with 220 colors, there's a lot that I'm going to talk about that's still going to be helpful for you if you're just working on a very large canvas, even if it doesn't have as many colors. For example, Diamond Art Club is getting a lot of canvases now that are about this size, like 80 by 100 or 75 by 100. And while they don't have 220 colors, some of them have 80 colors. So again, a lot of this I think you will find helpful as well. So first things first, let's talk about what kitting up looks like. As far as kitting up goes, I'm going to recommend that you spend a little bit of time mapping things out before you actually even start putting drills into storage containers. Now, I will say that at least for this kit, all of the colors did come pre-bagged, so you don't have to kit up into storage containers if you don't want to. However, I found it to be very, very helpful because I can see all of my symbols at a glance, which I'm going to show you in just a moment. But when you get all of those colors, go ahead and try to sort them out and find like which colors you have the most of, which you have the fewest of, and sort of map out your storage ahead of time. I did this. It did take me an hour or two to do, but it saved me a lot of work in the long run. So I recommend spending some time. This is not a small scale project, so that kind of applies to kitting up as well. So for my colors that I had the most of, I kitted up into my Elizabeth Ward storage containers. And then all the rest of my colors went into smaller containers. I will link, before anyone panics, I will link all of these organizational systems down in the description below. Also, if you're curious to see me unbox this kit, I do have an unboxing video that I will link up in the eye and in the description below as well, so you can take a look at what it looked like to unbox this. And I also have a kitting up video that I will also link for you as well. So this particular drill storage container has been a lifesaver. It zips up and has handles on it, and it has 2 layers of drill storage, and the ones on the bottom are larger bottles while the ones on the top are smaller. So I was even able to map out, okay, what has the fewest number of drills, those the smaller ones, and then for the ones that had the fewest number of drills, I put them into these. I don't even remember what the brand of them is. It's not important. It's very useful for colors that you only have a few of, and they come in a row like that, and just pop the lids open. So as far as how to organize your drills, I will say I did this one way when I started out. And literally after I worked on the first section in this kit, I then turned around and spent an hour re-kitting everything up because I realized this is not how my brain works. I want to do it differently in a way that's going to make this kit much easier to work on. So while what I'm about to say doesn't totally apply to what's in here, because this is just exclusively all of the colors that I had enough of that I needed bigger containers. That's still, like, I just kind of got used to what symbols are in here. But if you take a look at how I have the drills organized in here, what has worked really well for my brain, especially when there are so many symbols that are really similar, is, okay, I've got all of my, literally, these are all blue triangles of some kind. That's, you know, some other triangles and arrows and loops and U's, and then all of these. So it's organized by color and by kind of symbol. This has been so helpful, especially because I'm not always working on the canvas right side up. So if I see a red symbol with a white arrow, I pull this out of here and I align it with the way that my canvas is facing, and I'm sure I have the right one and I'm not hunting through a sort of mishmash, unorganized set of symbols. Similarly, down here, you can see they really, when you're talking about having to do 220 different symbols, they really had to get creative with what they used. Over here, there's like multiple kinds of feet and hands. I have methods of transportation down here, and just all sorts of different symbols. These I was able to do, you could see letters and numbers, with the exception of a couple that there were more drills of and wouldn't fit in here. We have 3 different kinds of camera. And then in here as well. So I will highly, highly recommend that you be really intentional and take that extra time to organize your drills in a way that works for your brain and is not going to create extra work for you when you're working on an already probably pretty confetti heavy canvas. If you are the kind of person that works from the legend on the canvas, this canvas does have a legend. It's massive. However, because of how you logistically usually need to work on a canvas like this, it's not terribly practical to need to be able to reference this legend ahead of time. So not ahead of time, as you work. So if you need to have a separate printed legend, I would highly recommend making a copy of the inventory sheet that they send, that this company at least sends you. Most companies will send you some sort of inventory sheet. Make a copy of it so you're not having to like do gymnastics to get to the actual legend on the canvas. I also would recommend, depending on what your space restrictions are, have the kind of space where you can put as many of these drills out as possible. So when I set up on my kitchen, this is my kitchen table, I will literally set it up so that every set of drills is visible to me, even while I'm working on a tiny little section, because then it moves quicker and I can look at a glance and quickly find what I need. But if you're limited on space, just having your drills organized according to shape or style or whatever color, that will save you some time. So let me share a little bit more with you about tips and tricks for working on this canvas. All right, so as far as working on the canvas itself and setting yourself up with a comfortable workstation that's not going to damage your canvas and is going to work longer term, I'm going to scoot this so you can see. I actually split a pool noodle and I wrap it around the end of my kitchen table. The reason that I do this is because when I'm working on the canvas, because of the size and orientation of it, just by nature, if I want to be sitting comfortably in a chair, this is going to end up going off the table and into my lap. So I put the pool noodle around the edge of the table so that when I'm leaning over or when the canvas is sitting there for any length of time, it's not getting any folds or creases in it that would cause rivers and bubbles. And even with taking those precautions, you can probably see up here, this particular canvas has been very river and bubble prone. This is a double-sided adhesive canvas. If you're working on a poured glue canvas from a different company, this will be less of a problem for you, but it's still nice to not put really sharp creases in your canvas, and pool noodles are very inexpensive. I highly recommend picking one up and just cutting a slit down the middle so that you can wrap it around the end of whatever surface you are working on. If you were to purchase a Josephine Wall canvas from this company, Diamond Painting Deutschland, all of their Josephine Wall canvases that are this size are going to be double-sided adhesive. They carry poured glue in other kits, but if we're talking about this kind of kit specifically, you're going to be working on double-sided adhesive. The quality of the adhesive itself is very good, but just by nature, it is more temperamental than poured glue. So obviously one of the things that I'm very careful and intentional about with a canvas like this that is very large and is a double-sided adhesive is I'm trying to do everything I can to keep it flat and undamaged. For me, this also includes hanging it up when I am done working on it. I don't have a designated crafting space. If you have a designated space that's large enough that this can just be laying flat the entire time that you spend working on it, perfect. That's probably your best bet. However, if you don't, if you have a small crafting desk, or if you have to put your projects up at the end of the day, like I do, I highly, highly suggest hanging this canvas up each time that you are done with it. So what I did is I found, I have a space in one of my side hallways that is large enough for a canvas like this to hang on. I hung up a heavy duty command hook so that I can easily take it down when I finish this project. And then I have one of these sort of trouser hangers that has this on the end, and I've used 2 heavier duty chip clips and a couple of binder clips here as well to give it some extra support. This is a wood hanger. I kind of went all out because I thought, especially once this canvas has drills on it, it's going to be quite heavy. So I would highly recommend, if at all possible, find a way to keep this flat as much as possible, especially if you're working on a project like this. It's going to take you a while. Like I said, I've been working on this for a couple of months. It's probably going to take me 1 or 2 more months to finish this. So that is just a strong suggestion I would give you. Now let's talk about the actual logistics of working on this canvas. So with a canvas this size, you will find that it's not terribly practical to reach every part of the canvas with the whole thing laying flat on the surface in front of you. Even if that surface is big enough, ultimately to get to the middle parts of the canvas, you're gonna have to be standing, probably, potentially overstretching your back and neck. There are easier ways to do it. So I showed you the pool noodle that I used to sort of protect it as I am working on it sideways, and here's how I would recommend working on a canvas this size. I would recommend taking whichever direction is longest. So in this case, the canvas is wider than it is tall. And I'm gonna have the shortest end be what's going in front of me side to side. So the canvas is turned sideways for me. I'm starting at one end, and I have the rest of the unfinished canvas basically in my lap and trailing to the floor over the pool noodle. So I start by working in a section left to right this way. Once I finish it, I move the canvas away from me. The idea behind this is that then I'm never going to have canvas with drills on it in my lap where I would be worried about them falling off because I'm rubbing up against them or whatnot. This also has the added benefit of, as I work and as I'm pushing it away from me, the part with the drills on it is getting to stay pretty flat. Now, if you don't have a tall enough, well, this way, space to keep this flat all the way to the end of the canvas, you can absolutely roll this once you run out of space that way. I would recommend using a pool noodle or a large packing tube of some sort so that you're not rolling it tightly. And if you do roll it with the drills facing out. If you were to roll it with the drills facing in, especially because these are squares that fit quite tightly together, they may pop off because when you roll it with the drills in, they push and they run out of room. So that's absolutely an option. I would not roll this tightly because this is double-sided adhesive. It can absolutely get bubbles or have issues even after there are drills on it. So just better safe than sorry. If you're, as you're moving it away from you, if you need to roll it loosely, roll it around something and roll it drill side out. And before you know it, you'll have a good bit of canvas done. So yes, that's how I would recommend actually sitting down and working on a large canvas that you can't quite fit on your table and reach comfortably without it being in your lap. So let's talk about working on the canvas itself. You might have noticed that I have recovered the canvas with something other than the opaque, the solid white paper that normally comes on a double-sided adhesive canvas. I decided to recover this with parchment paper because parchment paper does tend to be more forgiving than the solid white opaque paper that comes on the canvas. If you notice these solid white sections over, here at the bottom, those were a couple of areas that were extremely river and bubble prone for me on this canvas, and I found that putting down, this is just release paper from Star Ore, which you can get on Amazon or on the Star Ore website. I found that putting that down really did help with bubbles and rivers. Speaking of, I would certainly recommend having an X-Acto knife or some other sort of blade handy to take care of issues like bubbles and rivers. I've showed it in some of my previous videos, but if you do find that you have a bubble on your canvas, which doesn't happen with poured glue, really, it's more of a problem with double-sided adhesive like this one, you can just run the blade along the bubble, of the direction of the bubble, and then I usually do just little scratches going either direction against it, and then I take my drill pen and just lightly rub it over where that bubble was. That gets all the air out and helps the adhesive lay flat again. As I mentioned, this canvas has been temperamental. You might find that to be the case with yours. So I just like to keep a blade handy so I can take care of problems that do come up. A quick note about parchment paper. If you decide to recover your canvas with something like parchment paper, please, please, please make sure that you have not gotten wax paper instead by accident. It's a common mistake, but wax paper will not lift off from your canvas easily at all. Be very problematic. I just found parchment paper to be the most budget-friendly option because otherwise I would have been using quite a lot of release paper, but that is an option too, of course. I find with the symbols themselves, at least on this particular canvas from this company, using a light pad has actually made them more difficult to see and distinguish. What I find to be much more helpful is to have a good overhead light, and that helps me make out the symbols better. There's something about putting the light underneath that I find blurs the symbols a little bit, and when so many are so similar, whatever you can do to make it easier for yourself. So let me peel this back so I can show you what like a new unworked on section would look like, because this is a little deceiving right here. This section looks like there's a lot of color blocking. This is the most color blocking there's been in the entire canvas. Even up here, I'm looking forward to working on this section. Normally there's quite a bit of confetti, which you can still see some confetti over here and over here a bit as well. So when you pull back a section of the canvas to work on, which another tip that I have would be to work on very small sections at a time. The reality is, even in a small section, so this is like 4 by 4 inches is about the size of the section that I work in. It's not large. It's about the size of like 2 bricks of patty wax is the comparison I use. Even in a section this small, I'm averaging placing like 150 colors plus in each one of those tiny sections. So if I tried to open up a larger section to work on, I think I would get pretty overwhelmed. You might be different, but I'd suggest starting small. You can always go bigger later. When I pull back a section to work on for the first time, here, let me zoom you in so you can see a little bit better. I try to find first what symbols stick out to me the most. What is my eye immediately drawn toward? If I'm looking over in this section, it's going to be one of the symbols that's a white symbol on a darker background, like this one here, that's a microphone, or this little minus sign. Or for you, it might be this whole big section of color blocking with these those are like little Pac-Mans facing up on a dark background. You might want to do that first. I highly, highly recommend starting with the symbol that just catches your eye and is going to be really easy to see as you do that first pass over that section that you are working on. I find that to be a lot less overwhelming, and over time as you're working on the section, other symbols will pop out to you more easily once the first sets are covered. I hope that makes sense. But that's how I like to work on my sections, and I promise that you're going to miss some, the first time that you do a pass on that section, but all of your drills are going to be right there, so you could just reach for them and place any that you missed. So let's talk for just a minute about the mental load of working on a project like this, because whether or not it is a larger canvas, for me, like this, 75 by 100 centimeters with 220 colors, or even if it has fewer colors or is a little bit smaller or even larger. I've seen some really incredibly large canvases from Heaven and Earth Designs, for example. Just the mental load of taking on a project that is this large, it can feel very overwhelming, and it's very, very easy to burn out. If you are going to take on a project like this, I would gently suggest that you take breaks from it when you feel a little bit burnt out. There was a section here that was so confetti heavy that took me like 4 hours to do this 4 by 4 inch section, and I thought, I never want to work on this canvas again. So what I did was I just hung it up for a few days and worked on a different, smaller project, fewer colors, round drills that moved more quickly, and within a few days, I was actually really excited to get back to this project. So if you feel yourself getting to that point of burnout, I would suggest pulling out like a snack size kit. If you don't want to have a full other kit going at the same time, pull out a special drill kit, pull out a different craft. Giving yourself that break and not forcing yourself to do a project that you're not enjoying is really the way to go. This is not a sprint to the finish. With a project like this, that's impossible. It's a marathon, so you want to pace yourself. And I took the whole month of December off from this project, and I am glad that I did. Also, I would strongly suggest that if you're going to do a big project, pick out something that you're excited to work on. Pick out something that just speaks to you and you're like, I really, really want to see this as a diamond painting, and I don't care if it takes me a really long time. I'm just excited to get to work on this beautiful piece of art as a diamond painting. Don't pick out something that you feel lackluster about or only speaks to you for a moment. Take a little time to pick out a project that you think you're really, really going to enjoy working on, And that makes it worth it in the end, because I guarantee if I weren't so in love with this artwork and the colors and the way it's coming together, I would have given up on this project months ago. So there's something to be said for making sure you're working on something that is speaking to you as well. Now, I will say, projects like this are absolutely not for everyone. There is not a wrong or right way to diamond paint. It's about what brings you joy, what's stress relieving and relaxing for you. So when I asked some of my friends in the diamond painting community, just said, what are some questions that you might have about working on a canvas like this? And most of them were like, are you crazy to even be taking on a project like this? And I said, well, yeah, I suppose so. So I suppose you might need to be your own brand of crazy to take on a project like this, but it's very rewarding. If this kind of thing doesn't sound fun to you, it probably won't be. And frankly, you're probably not even watching this video. But if this kind of thing does sound fun to you, then by all means, go for it. Don't let someone else saying like, I would never do a project like that, deter you from something that you want to try. I don't know if I'll take on another kit like this with this many colors again, because it's been such a process. It's a lot of work, but it is so rewarding, and I'm loving just the experiment and the experience of working on it. So if this sounds like it's for you, especially if you're itching to try one of these beautiful Josephine Wall kits from Diamond Painting Deutschland, I am happy to share just a little bit more info about what that looks like. So I've shared my tips and suggestions for working on large canvases with you, but if that's all you came for, I'm just going to share about some logistics of ordering a kit like this. So feel free to click away. Thank you for watching. But if you are, especially if you're based in the United States or anywhere that's not Germany, they do ship internationally. It does depend a little bit on what's going on in the world. As of the time of this recording, there is a global pandemic, and throughout the past 9 months, they have gone back and forth on whether or not they've been able to ship to the United States. So you can email them. Their customer service, they speak English. They're very nice. They're very responsive, and they're able to set up a way for you to purchase that way. And if you don't speak German, which I do not speak German, a lick of German, and you go on their website, which is in German, you think, well, how do I even really browse this? Here's the secret. Either download the Google Chrome app if you're looking from your phone, or the Google Chrome web browser if you're looking on your desktop, and it'll automatically translate the website to the language of your choice, whether or not it's English or another language. It was super helpful for me. I found it really easy to browse at that point, and then I was able to just email them in English. They sent me an invoice that I had to pay. I believe it was through PayPal. So everything, is still secure, the buyer and seller protected and whatnot. And it did take some time to arrive because at the time that I ordered, they were not able to ship by flight. It came over on a boat and took a month and a half, 2 months to come. It was worth the wait for me though. It is on the pricier side, especially once you take into account shipping. So it's something to save up for, but for me, given that this has been a long-term project that I will in the end have spent multiple months and quite a lot of hours on, it's well worth the cost for me. So the actual price in whatever your currency is will vary just based on the day. I want to say that after shipping, that this kit, including shipping, was a bit over $100. So again, spend to your side, but to me, it's been worth it. The drill quality has been fantastic. For a double-sided adhesive, the quality has been fantastic with the exception of the tendency to get bubbles and rivers, but it's worth taking a look at if this kind of project sounds interesting to you, especially because, like I said, they've legally licensed this artwork from Josephine Wall. They have so many beautiful pieces of hers on their website. If they don't have the piece that you're looking for in stock at the moment, they do seem to restock fairly regularly, so do keep an eye out because it will probably be back soon. If you have any questions whatsoever about what the process of ordering from them might look like, or if you have any other specific questions about working on a project like this, whether or not it's from this company or another one, please leave them in the comments below. I would be happy to help any way that I can. I'm sure that I didn't cover quite everything, but I really hope that this video was helpful for you. I've had a lot of people ask various questions about what it's like to work on this kit, and so I thought I would just try to put together some tips and tricks for tackling a project this size. But that's it for me today. Thank you so much for watching. I really hope this was helpful for you. If you enjoyed this video, I'd love it if you gave it a thumbs up before you clicked away. It's always super helpful for me. And if you're not already subscribed, I love if you subscribed and hit the bell. You'll be notified whenever I share new videos. I have a lot of exciting things planned for this year that I can't wait to share with you all. And as always, if there's anything specific you'd like to see from me, including other kinds of tips and tricks videos like this one, please let me know. I am always open to suggestions, and I love creating content that's helpful for you guys. So I hope you all have an absolutely wonderful day. I will talk to you again soon. Bye.